Peace and love, everyone. Good morning. Thanks for being here live. Namaste. Thanks. As the drips of the fog outside that you can hear falling on the ground. Turn it down if a car comes by. Peace and love. Welcome to Nut Church, East and West. I hear a car coming. Gonna turn it down there. Peace and love. Welcome to Not Church, Mysticism, East and West. We've been exploring Dr. Neil Douglas-Klotz's book, Revelations of the Aramaic Jesus, the hidden teachings on life and death, for many months now. And we're rapidly approaching the end of this study. So if you have ideas about what you'd like me to talk about, I'd love to hear them. Good morning, Peggy. Through Dr. Neil's work, we've explored aspects of ancient and mystical Aramaic Peshitta Gospels. Remember those Peshitta Gospels? They were kept safe and nearly secret by the Syriac churches in the Levant after they were discounted by Christianity for centuries through a series of theological, political, and historical developments over all those centuries. And it all began back in 431 CE, Common Era. Error? Yeah, that's era. That's right, era. At the Council of Ephesus. And maybe next week you have an idea what you'd like to hear. We're going to continue with the... I didn't mean next week, in a couple of weeks, once we finish this work, maybe you have an idea what you might want to hear. Let me know. There could be some gospel you want to talk about or something interesting to you. But there's good news about this whole Peshitta, Syriac, Levant thing, that other traditions, Orthodox, Catholic, Protestant, are beginning to open dialogue with them. So, there's been some communication going on. But like I said, maybe there's a mystical idea, a book or a concept or a gospel or something that you would like me to talk about, because we began this whole thing, Not Church, about asking the questions, what do you want me to talk about? So what do you want me to talk about once we finish this book? Please let me know. You can leave a note in the comments. You can send me an email, and I'm at Panagore at peter@peterpanagore.love, peter@peterpanagore.love. Don't forget to hit the like button. Thank you, Lynn. Don't forget to subscribe. Thank you. Hey, Pat. Good morning, Holly. Anyway, the Sufi Dr. Neil, he's a Sufi and he's a doctor. So Neil's incomplete, and it's unfortunate that it's incomplete, but it is. But very deep translations get to the nub of Jesus, of Yeshua's oneness teachings, very similar to what we find in the Gospel of Thomas, teaching in a way that the Koine Greek, which is the basis of all translations that everybody else uses, in a way that the Koine Greek and the layers of the church theology obscure, hence our study. So let's do something that we've been doing all along, and that Yeshua and the Aramaic Gospels talk about. Let's bring our awareness to our breath and gather ourselves together in light before we begin with today's subject, Breath of the Divine, a mystical reading of Yeshua's Aramaic prayer near the end of John's Gospel. Okay, so my feet are flat on the floor, eyes are closed, going to do a few breaths, gather myself in, quieting down, listening. Guess that crow was praying along with us this morning. It's in the Gospel of John in chapter 17. We encounter one of Yeshua, Jesus, one of the most profound prayers that he ever spoke. And at this moment, when he's praying this prayer, he reveals his mission's depth and his intimate relationship with the divine. In verse 26, from the Greek, he speaks about making God's name known so that the divine love, capital D, capital L, so that the divine love may reside within his followers, making the name known. Now, while many translations of this Greek passage exist, they're all over the place, Returning to the original Aramaic, the language Jesus spoke, Yeshua spoke, unveils the new, exciting, and mystical dimensions of this meaning of this passage. Now, in the King James Version, it renders John 17:26 as follows: "And I have declared unto them thy name, and will declare it, that the love wherein thou hast loved me may be in them, and I in them." It's beautiful. Now, at first glance, this verse emphasizes Yeshua's role in revealing God's nature and God's divine desire for love for us to reside within the disciples through a name. However, the Greek text from this and from all translations that are derived from this doesn't really capture the full nuances of the Aramaic, which is, of course, the language Yeshua and his followers, his disciples, spoke. So here's a translation. Dr. Neal translates it as, Yeshua said, my atmosphere within your own, my atmosphere, my radiance within your own, allows them, speaking about the disciples to God, he's praying, my atmosphere within your own, meaning his atmosphere within God's, allows the disciples, them, to feel the sound and song within their grasp. They can grasp it. Your love wave living through me is becoming more alive and loving in them. The radiance, he's inside the radiance is in him, and the radiance is being shared with his disciples, which gives them more aliveness and more love inside them. And the Aramaic passage, which I really daren't pronounce because I know that I'll slaughter it, carries layers of meaning beyond the standard mistranslations. And they're not terrible translations. They're just a little bit off here. One of the reasons is he never mentions the name anywhere in the Gospels. If you look up the name of God in the Gospels, he says he reveals the name, but it's not there. So there's something else going on. So here are some of the key elements that can shape our understanding by digging out from the Aramaic. And I'm going to try to pronounce some of these words. Awadaet. And this verb means to declare, to make known. But in Aramaic, it implies an intimate, tangible understanding more akin to something grasping something in one's hand. It's not a declaration of an intellectual knowledge. It's not just intellectual knowledge, but an experiential encounter. Smaka, your name. And the word Shem, name, in Aramaic conveys more than just a label. As we've talked about before, it refers to the essence, the breath, or the atmosphere of being. To know the Ineffable's name is to experience the divine presence beyond language. That's really what he's getting to when he talks about the name, because he never tells the name. And I'll talk about that. Well, remember the name, the YHWH, the unpronounceable word that was in Genesis that doesn't have any vowels, the name, it's unpronounceable, it's experiential, it's a presence. That's the name he's talking about. Duhuba, this wave of love. This phrase signifies love as an active, flowing force rather than a static feeling or a static intellectual idea. It carries a sense of movement, as if love itself were a current that flows from the divine through Yeshua into his followers and into us. Ana awa, here's a tough one for me. Ana awapon. But what it means is I am alive in them. The verb ahwa suggests an ongoing state of being. Alive in them. It's an ongoing state of being. Yeshua's atmosphere isn't just merely metaphorically in his followers. His living presence, his atmosphere, his Christ consciousness, the prana, the chi, the higher self radiance is dynamically interwoven into theirs. We experience this when we're gathered together in our meditative practice, or other times when you feel the energy, the divine energy from other people. That's what they were feeling. This radiance, you put your palms up, you can feel that radiance between your palms. Maybe do that, try that right now if you've never done that before. You can feel the radiance. And that radiance from him was propelled, flowing into these people who were around him. Now, understanding these deeper layers, we can reframe the passage in a way that reflects maybe a more poetical and mystical depth of Aramaic thought. So here it is. I have made known your presence, your breath, your life, your essence, and I will continue to offer it into their hands so that the wave of love with which you have loved me may rise and flow within them. As I am, my atmosphere is alive and moving within them. This is really what he was talking about. He's not talking about revealing a name to them, the secret code. He's talking about revealing the divine energy which is alive and which can be felt now. It's not just in the past. It was present and living in him and in his disciples because he was a channel for it. And we're all channeled. That's what he's saying. Make them like me so that they can feel this thing too when I'm not around. Physically, like, he's gone, he's executed. Now, these translations shift the focus from a declaration of a doctrine of belief, knowing the name, to an intimate, lived, personal, direct experience. They portray divine love as something that moves, breathes, and flows, rather than something that's merely given or possessed. Yeshua doesn't simply teach about the divine's name, which, like I said, is never mentioned anywhere in the Gospels. You can look it up. Instead, he reveals it in presence, in its presence, in a way that can be grasped, felt. When I say grasped, I mean felt within and between. And one way to explore the meaning of this passage further is through the metaphor of breath, which is a favorite of Yeshua's. In many mystical traditions, breath bridges the physical and the spiritual. You all know that. In Hebrew and Aramaic, the word for spirit, Ruach, which we encountered a long time ago in Genesis, the mythical story of Genesis, it also means breath or wind. The breath is foundational. Thus, when Yeshua speaks of making God's name known, he isn't merely talking about articulating a word, but revealing the very atmosphere of the divine, the breath within the breath. And this aligns with wisdom from other traditions, of course. The Sufi poet wrote, "What was said to the rose that made it open was also said to me here in my chest." This reflects the intimate way the divine presence is felt rather than simply known intellectually. You can feel this energy. The Zohar states, the Holy One, blessed be He, and the Shechinah are never separate. This mirrors Yeshua's idea that divine love is constantly flowing and indwelling together. The Bhagavad Gita declares, as they approach me, so I receive them. All paths, Arjuna, lead to me. And this reinforces the idea that the divine love as an ever-present current, accessible to all. And the last one is Christian Mysticism, the practice of the presence of God by Brother Lawrence. And in that, it's written, we ought not be weary of doing little things for the love of God, who regard not the greatness of the work, but the love with which it was performed. And this echoes Yeshua's teaching that divine love is something that we embody and live out, even in our flaws, even in our imperfection, even when we make mistakes, even when we try again. So, what are the implications for our spiritual practice? This re-envisioned translation invites us to approach spirituality not as some abstract belief system, but as a living, breathing reality, not something in our heads, but something that we experience. Yeshua's prayer suggests that knowing God isn't just about information, but about relationship, experience. This divine love isn't a possession, but a flowing force. And the presence of the divine is something we can actively dwell in and embody even in our imperfections. This understanding aligns with contemplative practices such as breath meditation, yoga, prayer awareness, and acts of love that we cultivate and cultivate within us a sense of divine presence. And when we attune ourselves to the atmosphere, this radiance of the divine, we move beyond words, names, into a lived communion with love itself. And this passage resonates with those of us who've experienced near-death experience. Many report encountering this overwhelming presence of love, often described as vibrantly alive and profoundly personal love and light. This aligns with Yeshua's description of divine love as something that's not external, but indwelling and ever-flowing. During my first near-death experience, I experienced the divine presence, the overflowing, immersive, and infilling light as an all-encompassing atmosphere, a current of love within me and around me. Through Ruach, breath, and spirit, this expanding and flowing atmosphere lives within and around us like a light bubble, present, making heaven present here now. Heaven is present here now. And I know it lives inside of you too. It's visible, audible, touchable, tasteable, and it smells like the freshest ocean breeze scented with seaside roses. Okay, that's a metaphor. Beautiful in every form, in everyone, all the time, whether they know it or not, whether they see it or not. It shines in the eyes. In John 17:26, it's more than a theological statement for belief. It's a prayerful invitation into the heart of divine intimacy. Returning to the Aramaic roots of Yeshua's words, we discover a depth of poetic, experiential, and mystical meaning. His prayer, it isn't just about knowledge, it's about breathing in the presence of the beloved, feeling the movement of divine love, and allowing that love to rise and flow within us in our daily lives. And in this way, we don't merely just follow Yeshua's teachings or some doctrine somewhere. We enter into the very life and presence that he embodied. And I think that's the point of all of it. That's what he's trying to get us to do. This is why this prayer is toward the end of John's Gospel. John's Gospel being the last one written that's in the Bible. Makes it important. So I want to thank you all for joining me this morning, listening to this little exploration. Your support, your help makes Not Church possible, and our meditation groups and our Mystic Tea Salon, which is at the top of the hour and a few minutes. It's crowdsourced wisdom. Everyone who has mystical experiences gets noetic knowledge lodged in them. We talk with compassion, kindness, love, authenticity, and experience. Find the links in the description, and I'm available for consultation, conversation, spiritual counseling, mystical integration of experience, all that stuff. Sunday afternoons, Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays. And you can find all that at peterpanagore.love. Thank you for listening this morning. I'm going to check out the chat here. Good morning, Pat Bellingham, Holly, Ellen. We all have it. The inspirational and spirited breath with intention. Exactly, Ellen. Thank you. I'm loving his class. Ellen's taking a class with Dr. Neil Douglas-Klotz online, and ABWUN Abwan, I think is abwan.org maybe, or abwan.com. If you Google Dr. Neil Douglas-Klotz, you'll get to his website. Thank you, Ken, for the super chat. Everyone here, by their very presence, has blessed and lighted the path for me to take home. Amen to that. Though I've staggered and stumbled and out of the way, I find I am more encouraged and not alone. You and me both, brother. You and me both. Thank you, everybody. Feeling it all here with you, says Ellen. Martine, good morning. Hello, Martine. Candyman in Hola in Costa Rica. Diane resonated. Thank you. Excellent. Good. Thank you. Glad to hear this. Let me know what you think, what you might want to cover next. Any ideas? You're welcome. If this is looking for a new direction for us, something to study, maybe something that we can do that has consistency. We were reading through the Gospel of Thomas. Maybe we can read back through that again, or we want to do something else. Let me know. Let me know your thoughts and ideas, and put them in the comments or send me a note. Either way. Why weren't we designed to feel that spirit in ourselves and others all the time? It's a big mystery. It is, Martha. We're below the veil here. And I think that our existence here, well, I think that the biological nature of us kind of overpowers the spiritual nature of us. We have this forgetfulness when we enter into this body. And I think that it makes it easier to survive as a creature and as a species. That's my guess. I don't really know. That's what I think, and it's based on what happened to me when I was dead, when I saw the immensity of the mystery and the power of the presence of heaven, which is beyond my capacity to grasp over there, but that it's reduced itself so much to make this world that it became hidden within it. That's kind of what I think anyway. That's my guess. Tom says, to me, it's about opening the door. It's there. Tom's right. It's for whatever reason why it's hidden. What we do is we open the door and we can find its presence. So it's not completely hidden. It's just that it's not easy to access. I think there's some very important reason for us to feel separate and experience the contrast of apart and together. Not sure why, but it's a good question, says Holly. Oh, quite agree. Peggy, existence here can be overwhelming when you feel so much deep love. Yeah, I think that that's kind of true. It can get kind of confusing when there's an overpowering of this, only because it might put your survivability at risk. Thank you for the super chat, Diane. That's very nice of you. Appreciate it. You too, Ken, again. Super chats. Thank you very much. You help and support us. All right, my friends. I'll see you in about 8 minutes at the top of the hour at Mystic Tea Salon. The link is in the comments, the description rather. So maybe God could have it set it at 50%, Holly. Yeah, we can argue that with God when we get there. Why did you? It seems to me that the very structure of our universe sort of excludes the power of the presence. If the power of the presence was here, it wouldn't be this universe. If we had that much knowledge, it wouldn't be here. It'd be another kind of universe, which I suppose would be okay too. Andrew, good morning, Andrew. Beautiful talk this morning. So glad that you're here, Andrew. Glad to see you. I suggest focusing on either the Hidden Gospel or the Prayers of the Cosmos by Neil Douglas. We could go back to the Prayers of the Cosmos, and I like the Hidden Gospels as well. Those are both very good ideas. Thanks, Andrew. Appreciate that. That's great. Martha, I wish for more together, less apart. Yeah, we all do. All right, so I should go because I want to take a little break before we gather at Mystic Tea. The link is in the description. Thank you all for being here. Thanks for your support. Thank you for the presence of the divine light that you all bring and share here that make this so tangible for all of us. Peace and love to you all. See you soon. Oh, and thanks for watching by recording too. Don't want to forget those guys.